Right, I think I'll start by working on the fluid shaders, as you know that's the focus of the project. I want to come to a later frame so that we can see both, well, all three of the fluids, of the layers, right? So I'm just going to stop that, come back into my scene view, and what we should do really, if we come back into, let's come into the fluid mesh, right? And let's actually cache this out here. So I'm going to space F, sorry, to zoom in on this, and we should cache this out because you know we're doing a lot of work with this VDB workflow. So I'll drop a file cache, and the frame range, let me just find it from here, it was 1 to 100, just the whole thing, yeah. And we can say that, save that. This one we saved in sim. We'll save this in geo. Oh no, we'll save it in the same place. So sim, we'll call it fluid dot mesh dot version 1, and then a slash. I'm going to copy that and just drop it in again. So this will be the folder, and then the file name will be the same, fluid mesh version 1, $F3, geo is fine. Okay, so I'll save that out. I'll click load from disk now, and then we'll continue with that once it's finished. So I've got my cache completed here, so that will load much quicker now when we come to render. I'm going to head to the last frame, jump back into the camera, back out here, and let's back into our render view. You can see that updating. One thing I do want to do is change the kind of order of these. I think it doesn't make sense for the caramel to be on top, so I think I'd like the dark chocolate on top, then the caramel, and then something light underneath. So if we come into the render ice cream, not render ice cream, sorry, render liquid, and so what is now the chocolate, I want to be caramel. Yeah, it won't update until I click render again. And what is now caramel, I want to be dark chocolate. I probably should be changing the names and everything, but you know, there's only three different layers here, so it's not too bad. And what is dark chocolate, I want to be chocolate. Whoops. What is now dark chocolate, I want to be just chocolate. Okay, let's just click render and make sure that that updates correctly. Perfect. So that's looking better. So I'll make a, if I hold shift and drag, I'll make a render region around this, and we can start taking snapshots. So if we click on this camera, we'll take a snapshot and save an image for us to make comparisons as we go through. So I'll start on the outside layer with this dark chocolate, head into matte to dark chocolate, and start working on this layer, right? So for this dark chocolate, I think we'll use some transmission. If I turn that up all the way now, didn't update, I'll have to click render again. It will probably just turn into like a glass without any color. And you can see here it turns off the diffuse when I turn up the transmission. So the color will come from the scattering here within the, oh, that's why. I was looking at the old picture, that's why we weren't seeing it update. Typical common mistake I make. So yeah, so we can see we got this kind of weird clear thing which doesn't look like, you know, melted chocolate at all. So we'll have to give it some color using this scatter. So if I change that, I'll just make it something crazy now, green, just so we can see it, and then add some depth there. You can see the color coming through. right? So obviously we don't want green. Let's work on this. Give it something. I've got a value here that should work well. Just so we get it matching up with the render. Okay, we're gonna, if we drop the depth down, the depth is at which depth do we see more of this color, right? So the lower we go, the darker and more kind of saturated it would get. There we go. So that's looking quite nice. I think the roughness is okay. Drop the IOR a little bit, 1.4, oops, 1.4 maybe. Cool, okay, I think I'm quite happy with that. It's looking very nice and kind of silky. So let's take a look at the caramel next. Jump in there. Let's see what we want to do with this. So again, I think we'll use the transparency. So if we come to transmission, turn that up, and again we get that glass. And the scatter, a similar color, but we'll have a different depth. Okay, if I raise the depth a bit, you should see the color start to come through. I'm going to do a 0.2 there. Drop this anisotropy down. Let's see how that comes out. It's taking a bit longer to render now, as you know, with all this transparency, it's more difficult, you know, with the rays passing through the materials. I'm going to drop, so I'm just looking at these reflections, I'm going to drop the IOR a little bit. Cool, and then this chocolate at the back, I think I might do something really light, well, just leave it white for that one. Let's see the chocolate layer, that one is. And yeah, so for this one we'll leave it white, and maybe work with, give it some subsurface in this case. So I'm going to turn this back to white, just get some nice contrast with these colors, and come down to the subsurface, turn that all the way up. Start to see the edges kind of soften as it deals with that. So the scale is how, you know, to do with the size of the object. So how far, again, it's like the depth of the transmission, how far into the object does the subsurface happen. So, you know, this one is like a meter, so that's quite big. So let's drop that down to 0.1. We see more of the light reflecting back at us now, which looks nice. Also, I can change this, like bring this down a bit, so if it's a bit much, it's kind of glowing just a bit too much there. Hit 5, let's bring that down a bit. Cool. I'm going to press H, take a look at that together. Maybe if I come to go to out and just turn off the progressive render, we'll get a nice clean into samples. Oh, we don't have it turned on, I thought it was on. Turn it off here as well, and then we'll get a full clean render, and we can make a nice comparison with that. Great, so there we go. So we got some nice contrast between the 3 different layers. Got some transparency and subsurface working on them. We'll go ahead now and work on the background, the ice cream underneath, and the stick.